Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good Monday, April, what is today, 13th? Yeah, awesome. Probably should update down on my watch. It just says Monday the 13th. I got to know what month it is because I always forget. Hope everybody's having a good start to their week. Hope everybody had a good fantasy week. I see that fantasy hockey is wrapped up, fantasy basketball is wrapped up, or fantasy hockey is wrapping up. I guess they're in the championship league or championship matchup. So, uh, sorry, excuse me. But you guys aren't here to talk about all that bullshit. We're here to talk baseball, which is what we're going to talk about today. So, again, hope everybody's having a good day. I kind of zoomed in a little bit. My wife's Jesus light back there, like, I mean, look at the flare, the like, and then it glares down here. So I'm trying to fix that on my end, but I don't really think it worked. But yeah, so I'm trying to just keep my face blocking the whole light back there. So you know,
How's that?
uh, I mean, it's still bright. So
How's that?
that's a little better. But again, I'll just position my face where it's at. So say hello to everybody. Everybody say Ray. Ray, hello, everybody. Ray,
Hey.
Ray. So let's get into last week's matchup, shall we? And then we'll talk about what's next. What is actually happening in our league that we're seeing? Because we just wrapped up week 3. That's right, week 3. We go 22 regular season weeks, and we are now in week 4. Wow, we're already cruising along.
And I suck.
Well, you heard what she said. We'll get into that because I do not think that that is the case. And I'm actually looking at, I think this week she might actually do a little better than last week. So let's get into it. Last week we saw a matchup of the week. That was between, I believe, I for whatever reason have misplaced or lost my notes, and I've been trying to keep up with that. And I had identified a new notepad and I didn't bring it in here like a dumbass. So, but regardless, we had a matchup last week. I want to say it was between Rally Monkeys and Jesus, but then again, it might have been the family matchup between Trip and Billy's and Scott. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm remembering that is the matchup of the week. So let me scroll up and talk about that one because Scott is not, he's putting everybody in this league on notice, okay, that he is here. And I believe that he is here. So, and this reminds me, I forgot completely to pull up this tab. Does anybody ever have like your computer just shut down and you just lose all of your
I did that.
tabs? Like what happens? Like what do we do? Like this kind of sucks. So anyways, sorry. I'll get back into this. Scott's putting everybody on notice. He put his brother on notice last week with a 9-3 victory. Mandalorians, I mean, this was still, when you look at it on paper, this was still a pretty close matchup between these two guys. Um, Shane only lost by 3 runs, incidentally enough, 3 home runs as well. They tied in RBIs, but the average in the OBP went to Shane, but it was very close and could have went to Scott's way. Very tight in the stolen bases. 1 inning of pitching separated these two gentlemen, and you could tell that it was Scott's pitching that just somewhat dominated because Shane almost had a double ERA. Close in the wins, though. But ultimately, again, like I said, I really feel like Scott he's just making his way. Had a big day from Tyler Soderstrom. Shane, are you mad about that? I know that was your boy last year. That was your boy. Always just showing us a little thing of a soda machine or something like that. So, uh, yeah. So there you go. Matchup of the week. It went that way. Just not some good pitching performances for Shane's team. Tanner Bybee, Brandon Woodruff, Mike Soroka. I mean, we were duped, myself included. I grabbed up Lance McCullers thinking, oh, yeah, he's back. No, he's back on the waiver wire where he belongs. Let's talk about bench warmers, and Shorty got low. This matchup was a good one, very close. I don't know for a fact, but I would guarantee that based off of what Brandon Lowe, like if you're going to have your namesake be the only player that you have on your roster, maybe start him. I don't know. I know he was in a very funky ass slump, but maybe start him, especially on the day that he just went off on your bench. 2 runs, 2 home runs, 5 ribbies. That would have won you. Well, that would have tied you runs, and that would have won you RBIs. And this would have been a switcheroo. You probably would have got average, and you definitely would have got OBP because the OBP would have went that way. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, but you didn't. So Josh proudly will take that victory. Very close for you guys in this entire matchup from your pitching stats, very close in the ERA. Whip was a little bit higher for Josh. That's why I didn't win either one of those categories. But again, it was very close. But at the end of the day, the victory goes Josh, or to the victor goes Josh. So, big week for Nick from Gunnar Henderson. And let's see, Josh, who'd you have? I guess we'll say, Jackson Merrill, but that batting average is not nice. Bryce Terang. It's so funny. It's like 2 years ago, I had Bryce Terang. That boy was a dud. Now he's a stud. You like how I did that there, people? Everybody? Y'all good? 6-4, Josh taking the victory. Pete Rose never cheated. Now, let's go ahead and get into this topic of conversation because I got to take an L on this one. I apologize to the entire league. This was my fault. I invited Anthony to come play. I will tell you that Anthony has been very honest with me. He does not know a lot about the current climate of baseball. And I took him underneath my wing, and I've been daily reminding him as much as I can. I won't say daily, but I've been reminding him a lot about checking his roster. I finally got my wife to set an alarm on her phone. I've gotten this guy, just set your alarm for 1 o'clock. That's typically around the time when rosters start coming out for you to check your team. Now, having said that, Jason won pitching categories, and okay, so I must have misreading the messages. I was misreading. I thought that Anthony had a complete game. So, yeah, this is kind of weird that he actually won a complete game category when the way that I was going to come at it, because again, I didn't check this first beforehand. I was under the impression that based off of what was going on in the message thread, that you guys were saying that Anthony was credited a complete game, which I was like, he did? Like, who pitched a complete game? So my mindset was, well, if Anthony was given 1 point for a complete game, it makes sense because that's an individual thing. And I was like, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense according to the rules. But now I understand the argument, because the argument now that I'm understanding is it makes a piss load of fucking sense. You shouldn't be able to get credited for something that you tied in. That's, yes, it's a pitching category, but this is supposed to be our wild card. You're getting a freebie when it, in my opinion, I mean, complete game and a cycle. When Shane and I, and again, I'm not a commissioner in this, but I do like have a lot of input into the league dialogue. When Shane and I were discussing what would be, we probably dropped the ball with the complete game, or the cycle rather, and the complete game. It probably should have been a grand slam. But in those, it's an individual thing. It's not a team thing. The rest of the categories are a culmination of your team. The stats of individual players put together. Obviously, that's what's happening here. But we were like, okay, but let's try to find something that's like an outlier. What could it be? You have a pitcher, they pitch a complete game. We've already seen this. Sandy Alcantara got his. And I believe, was it George Kirby got one too? I think we've seen that. So we've seen two so far. I don't understand how, like, okay, the innings pitched is a culmination of your entire team. I don't know how we can count it out, but I get the uproar. Like, we were so close last year that one game made all the difference in who went to the playoffs and who didn't. One game. That's how close we were last year. So this is a stat that, yeah, I'm with the confusion, the uproar. But again, going back to, this is my fault. I did not explain to Anthony about the innings pitch limit, because if I remember correctly, looking at his team from Sunday, he had a relief pitcher on his bench, and he's got a surplus of relief pitchers. I believe he's got 4, and all 4 of them are just RPs. So he's got to toggle between which one he's going to play. And I believe that relief pitcher came in and pitched 2 innings, and therefore he would have met the required stat. And based off of what I'm looking at, is he would have won save plus holds. So at the end of the day, he being Jason, got 2 points, and yeah, it would have been 5-5 is what 6-5, because he would have won save plus holds, because he won 5 batting categories and he would have won that matchup. Am I reading this correctly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, Jason had 1 batting category. I'm sorry, Jason, I wasn't looking. So it would have been tied, 6-6. It ended up going Jason's way. That's on me. Immediately this morning when I read the text thread, I reached out to Amp and explained to him we do have a limit. So again, new guy, he didn't know. It's my fault. I already managed 3 fantasy baseball teams up until 2 weeks ago. I was managing a fantasy hockey team, and up until yesterday, I was managing a basketball team. Which basketball, like, fuck that shit. Like, my entire roster was injured or out. Basketball's so stupid. Anyways, baseball, that's all I got now. My apologies, but it is what it is. So, but yeah, that's my bad. Jason ends up taking this one on a technicality. He wasn't actually down by 2 innings pitched. He was down by 1 2/3. So, sucks. But I've explained it to him, and, I don't think that's derailed Amp's attention to his team, but I got to take the L. He's got to forgive me for not explaining that to him. Yeah, moving on. Brian and Eric. Let's talk about this matchup. Let's see here. Eric's struggling a little bit in the pitching department this week. 6.02 ERA is not what you want. Under 3 is what you want, and Brian got what he wanted. But Eric did keep it close with the strikeouts, quality starts, save plus holds, everything else across the board except for that ERA and that whip. Well, actually, the whip was close too. So Eric's got a little bit that he's trying to improve, and I'll talk a little bit about the trade that was just made between him and Shane in a second. Batting stats, Eric got what he wanted in terms of home runs. Eric loves home runs, probably because chicks dig the long ball. But one RBI, just one, separated that. I don't know if he left some stats on the bench. I know he's dealing with Jeremy Pena being out, Mookie Betts being out, but he's counting down the days for Kyle Jesus Christ Stowers to return to his lineup because he's going to change his entire world. Got 14 Ks from Jameson Taillon, but not, and I bet, is Max Scherzer now riding the pine? Is he back on a free agent list? Sure is, where he probably should be. Woo. And then Uribe kind of screwed him on that. So, I mean, it is what it is, and Kyle Freeland didn't get the stat. So, but yeah. But let's talk a little bit about Brian a little bit. Another guy that, Brian, just kudos, man. What is this, year 3 for you? This is one of those guys where it's like he's putting us all on notice. First year, this year, the boy's got some things figured out. He's got a pretty decent lineup. Always actively trying to make his team better, grabbing, the guys that are out there. But I mean, he's got a solid, from looking at, second base, good catcher, good third baseman, and steady Manny. Ellie De La Cruz, just had a big week for him. But his pitching category, another, just kind of solid team right now. And yeah, Brian's putting us all on notice to say, hey, I'm here to compete, and I like it. So let's keep it up, Brian. 9-3 was the final score in that one. And let's move on to Rally Monkeys and Troubleshooters, shall we? Somewhat of a little balanced equation here. I got to say, Jesus, we expect more. Okay, you lost by 1, but look here, buddy. I mean, I am looking at your roster because I like to trade, and I'm looking at your roster, and I'm like, all right, I think you just went out and picked up Wilson Contreras. Good job. I think Scott might have dropped him, if memory serves me. But you do not have enough bats, my boy, and I understand that you got pitching on the mind, and you somewhat won the day with your pitching against, arguably the pitching guru in our league in Walker. But come on, bro. We're going to need to, I mean, again, I'm looking at the stats, and he won home runs and he won stolen bases by a large margin. And I mean, O'Neal Cruz carried his team for him in the stolen base category. But we probably need to, work on maybe getting another bat. Again, it's not my team, and you're still in the top 6 right now, but but again, Jesus has some pretty good pitchers. Michael Walker had a pretty good week. That Bubba Chandler, he's not looking good right now. Shohei Ohtani, okay. Paul Skeens, Christopher Sanchez. He's got a good, solid 3-4 solid arms over there. So I don't know why I'm critiquing you, Jesus. I just want to see you, give old Walker a run for his money, okay? Last but not least, let's talk about mine and my wife's matchup. Now, I mentioned earlier why I think that Ray is going to still be a force. Okay. I had a good week, but she was still on my heels like the entire time. I get that the batting average and the OBP really just favored me. I mean, I had over like 100. Literally, I had a .100 better in the average and in the OBP, literally. But she's got some really good names out there, and some people that just are off to a kind of a slow start for. But I think she's got a pretty solid team, and she's also got one of the best batters. And we'll talk about. I still got some time about the rest of the league, or like another batter. But Jordan Alvarez, he's off to a hot start. Um, she might could. I mean, I feel like she's got a great first baseman, second baseman, Ketel Marte, Suarez when he gets going, Corey Seager, we all love him. Jordan Alvarez. I mean, as long as Byron Buxton can stay healthy, solid bat. I mean, when you look down the lineup, it's like, yeah, she's got some good players and then good supporting cast and Brett Beatty and Jake Cronenworth. So I had a decent week finally from Matt Olson, and this Sal Stewart kit can have my heart. I mean, I love him. So I'm glad that he's on my team. He'll just ride right there. Kind of sucks. Traded for Christian Yelich and probably fitting to lose him for a while. I would love for Milwaukee to get off their ass. I know it's an off day for them, but I got to make moves. I got a matchup this week, and I need to talk about matchups this week too. That oddly enough, we agree on the matchup of the week there, Yahoo. I appreciate you getting on board. But she's also got a really solid starting pitching. That going out and grabbing Taj Bradley might be the pickup of the year if he stays this way in terms of picking up a pitcher. I mean, that boy has thrown some really good innings for her, and he was just sitting right out there. She's got a solid Noah Cameron. Eric Lauer didn't give her a good outing. She's got some pretty good relief pitchers in Raisel Iglesias, Devin Williams. Brady Singer and Framber Valdez kind of fucked her, but I mean, they've been pretty solid. And, so I think she's got a really good shot of still competing. And notice, bitches, there has been very brief trade talks in this house, but letting it ride. Let's go,
Because I refuse to hear the bitching.
She refuses to hear the bitching and probably to trade with me. Probably more of that one. But yeah, there we go. So this one went 11-1 my way. I mean, I can't say enough about the stolen bases too. I mean, I feel like I've got a lot of speed and not a lot of power on my team. If the power comes, I'm going to need it to start coming quicker. So, anyways, 11-1 was our matchup, and even with that big of a victory, and in such an early, big win in the season, still didn't put me in first place. So, I mean, I'm fine not being there. Honestly, I just want to, I really want this to be my year. Speaking of my year and speaking of matchups in the way, let's talk about this week. Week 4 is here. Games are about to get underway. Walker, let's dance, okay? I woke up this morning not knowing that I was playing you. And I immediately was like, fuck. I was, dang it. And I don't know what it is, man. It's like you and Shane. Shane will forever fucking be in every facet of fantasy my kryptonite. Shane probably more so than you, Walker. But damn you, Shane. Anyways, we're not there yet, Shane. This week, it's me and it's Rally Monkeys, and I couldn't agree more with that being the matchup of the week. We're 2 top 6 teams, and yeah, what a way to just test your pitcher's capabilities, and Walker is very active in the waivers, and we'll see what happens. Shane will face off against Jesus. Shane needs a win big. And if I mentioned anything about a glaring area of Jesus and that top 5 being a little bit kind of a facade for everybody, Yeah, Jesus, if you don't go out there and at least pick up a second baseman, my boy, because Larissa Arias might not be available for the next couple of days, Shane's probably going to walk all over your, holy ass. Josh will face off against Jason. This too is going to be a good matchup to watch because right now Josh is on the outside looking in, and Jason just is number one for maybe a little bit of a technicality that we were talking about earlier. But regardless, it was going to be a tie. So just 2 points went in his favor. I literally am 2 points behind him. So I would have been number one, or we would have been tied for number one, regardless. But I know Josh, he wants to get back in that win column, wants to start making the moves. Now, Nick will face off against Brian. Another good matchup. We got Nick down there. Probably should have tied Josh or won this previous week, and he didn't because his namesake was sitting on the bench on the very last day of the week. There you go. P. Rose Never Cheated versus Mandalorians. I know Amp is excited to probably get that first win. I can't remember how the other weeks went. Did you beat Eric when you played him? No, you did not. So, and he did not win second week. He lost that one. So he's looking for his first win. So Scott is like, not having it. Don't want to hear anything about it. And Ray, yes, she's 12th, but again, I really feel like that she's going to have the opportunity this week to really showcase what I was just building her team up to do against Eric. So we shall see. In fact, and I know Eric, he's chomping at the bit. He just saw an 11-1 score, and he sees who he's playing. So he's like, this will put me in the top 6 for sure. So we'll see about that. But yeah, start of the week. Here we go. Real quick, I wanted to touch base on, pickups. Like, crazy to think that Jordan Walker might have been the batting pickup of the year. Okay. This dude is hitting a home run every day. I love that this trend just keeps carrying on. Now he strikes out a lot, so I get it, but it's like, dudes, like at some point, when are you going to walk the guys that just keep crushing these balls? Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Jordan Walker is now there. When are you just going to walk him? I mean, I get that, it's a pride-filled game and pitchers are like, I can get this guy out with my fastball. Okay, and then he just takes you deep. So, I don't know. But, I know Eric is just, yay, and he's probably ready to trade him because he's like, he's so valuable. And then when you get him on your team and he doesn't do shit, then you just get to look at Eric and be like, I hate my life. Sounds like I've said that a couple of times before with that guy, trading him. Let's see. What do we have here? This is me now doing my search. I wanted to leave you guys with some baseball facts. I don't know. Might just be the worst part of the show right now. Yeah, I got nothing. I mean, like, Japan has thriving baseball scene with its professional league, Nippon Professional Baseball, established in 1950. That's not really whatever. Baseball was introduced to Cuba in 1860s and quickly became the country's most popular sport, leading to a rich baseball tradition and numerous talented players. Okay. Baseball returned to the Olympics in 2021 after being absent since 2008. I don't remember it being in 2021. The longest baseball game ever played was 8 hours and 25 minutes between the Pawtucket Red Sox and the Rochester Red Wings. And they were minor league teams back in 1981. They played 33 innings. Pawtucket finally clinching the win. You didn't tell me how they won. Whatever. All right, guys. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you guys later. I got 12 seconds left. Look into my eyes for these last seconds. See y'all later. Take it easy. Bye.